One of the largest humanitarian deployments in recent years, India has launched Operation Sagar Bandhu to assist Sri Lanka in the wake of devastating floods and landslides triggered by Cyclone Ditwah. The operation, which began within hours of Colombo's formal request for assistance, involves the Indian Navy, Air Force and National Disaster Response Force working in close coordination with Sri Lankan authorities to deliver relief and conduct rescue missions across the island's worst-hit regions. The Indian Navy has taken center stage in the maritime phase of the operation. The aircraft carrier INS Vikrant, accompanied by the guided missile frigate INS Udaygiri, reached Sri Lankan waters shortly after the cyclone made landfall. The carrier, normally a symbol of India's growing blue water capability, has been repurposed as a floating humanitarian platform. Its air wing has flown repeated sorties using 2 Chetak helicopters, carrying Sri Lankan Air Force liaison officers on board to identify priority zones. These helicopters have evacuated dozens of civilians stranded on rooftops and in isolated hamlets, while simultaneously dropping food packets, drinking water, and basic medical supplies to villages cut off by swollen rivers and collapsed bridges. A third naval vessel, the offshore patrol vessel INS Sukanya, left Visakhapatnam with additional relief stores and is expected to reach Colombo shortly, further expanding the Navy's ability to sustain operations along Sri Lanka's eastern and southern coasts. Naval sources said the ships are also providing communication support and limited medical facilities to local authorities in areas where terrestrial infrastructure has been severely damaged. Parallel to the naval effort, the Indian Air Force has established a high-intensity air bridge between southern India and Bandaranaike International Airport. Multiple C-130J Super Hercules and Il-76 heavy-lift aircraft have completed round-the-clock sorties, delivering a total of 27 tons of critical relief material in the first 48 hours alone. The cargo includes family-sized tents, tarpaulins, woolen blankets, hygiene kits, ready-to-eat meals, water purification tablets, and portable generators. One Il-76 flight carried 80 personnel of the National Disaster Response Force, along with 8 sniffer dogs trained for urban search and rescue, and 8 tons of specialized equipment, including hydraulic cutters, concrete breakers, and life detection systems. NDRF teams have fanned out to the most affected districts, working alongside the Sri Lankan military and police in clearing roads, restoring access to marooned towns, and searching for missing persons under collapsed structures. Initial reports from the ground indicate that the Indian rescuers have already located several survivors trapped for more than 2 days. The Indian High Commission in Colombo has set up a 24-hour emergency control room and issued a dedicated helpline for Indian nationals stranded in the disaster zone. Embassy teams, supported by honorary consuls in Jaffna, Kandy and Hambantota, have begun distributing food and water to several hundred Indian tourists and workers unable to leave flood-hit areas. The scale of destruction in Sri Lanka is still being assessed, but preliminary figures released by the Disaster Management Center in Colombo are grim. Several hundred confirmed dead, thousands missing, and close to 1 million people displaced or otherwise affected across 15 districts. Entire villages in the Central Highlands have been buried under landslides, while low-lying areas around Colombo and the southern province remain submerged. Power supply, telecommunications, and road connectivity have been severed in large parts of the country, complicating both rescue and relief distribution. For India, Operation Sagar Bandhu continues a well-established pattern of rapid regional disaster response. In recent years, Indian forces have mounted similar operations in the Maldives after the 2024 Malay water crisis, in Mauritius following oil spills, and repeatedly in Sri Lanka itself, most notably during the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami. What distinguishes the current mission is the simultaneous use of an aircraft carrier group for humanitarian tasks, underscoring the dual-role flexibility of India's modernizing military. As flood waters gradually recede, attention will shift from immediate rescue to rehabilitation and reconstruction. Indian agencies have already indicated willingness to assist with temporary housing, restoration of critical infrastructure, and long-term capacity building in disaster preparedness. For now, however, the priority remains saving lives and alleviating suffering in a nation that has once again turned to its northern neighbor in its hour of greatest need. Operation Sagar Bandhu, whose very name evokes maritime friendship, is a reminder that geography imposes not just strategic obligations but also profound human responsibilities. In the shared waters of the Indian Ocean, the sight of Indian warships and aircraft racing to the rescue has become a reassuring constant when nature unleashes its fury.